Hi, everybody. Just checking the sound. Can you hear me? Okay. We have translators.
Okay.
So that's in English. Hi, everybody. I think we can start. So this is our second class because some of you asked us to teach about Refuge and Freedom Vows. So this is our second class, and we have reviewed last time 2 vows, right? Let's just continue, and if you will have any questions, please write in the chat, and I will take care of the chat time to time. So the third vow, refuge vow, is not associated closely with people who do not believe in the path once we have taken refuge in the Sangha. Do you want to do this one?
Just starting off on a more general note, the entire reason that we have vows, it's just all an elaboration of the idea that you want to treat other people the way you want to be treated, right? Just a more detailed look at how to be kind to other people. And why do we want to be kind to other people? Because you want people to be kind to you. And everything you do is coming back you except stronger, right? So then when you realize that things are going to come back to you, not just equal, but stronger, then it becomes very important. You realize the importance of treating other people with kindness, of treating other people the way you want to be treated. And so then these guidelines exist to help us with that. So number 3, not associating closely with people who do not believe in the path once we have taken refuge in the Sangha. Why is that? Well, because people who haven't taken refuge in the path are difficult to deal with. That's a joke.
Okay, now be careful. Somebody can put it on social media.
It's a joke. No, it is true that when people understand cause and effect, they tend to become a lot nicer, right? Because they have a logical reason to be nicer. But this is more a matter of your mind reflecting the people that you're around, right? Your mind ends up being like a mirror, and you end up being like the people that you're around. If you're 18 years old and you go into the military, you're going to come out 4 years later like a soldier. If you're 18 years old and you go to art school, you're going to come out 4 years later like an artist, right? So you want to be around people who believe in cause and effect because it will help you on your path, right? It'll help you progress towards eliminating suffering from every living being. So as simple as that. Do you have something to add?
Yeah, I think for this, I had some difficulties with this vow. I remember because I don't know how about you, but when I started, people around me were only people who do not share my ideas and the past, right? So like, should I leave my partner? Should I leave my parents? Never stay with them, never talk to them? Should I leave my friends? Of course not. What it means is that now try to remember the moment that you heard the pen story for the first time, or maybe somebody, two husbands in the kitchen story. Maybe this was the first one for you. When you really realized that this is something valuable, these teachings, and try just to remember how vulnerable your mind was at that point of time. So basically, this vow is to protect the vulnerable mind that you have until you will get stronger, until you're not seeing emptiness directly yet, but intellectual realizations, intellectual understanding of emptiness will get strong enough. Then you not only you will be able to be with different kinds of people, but you will be able to help them also. So it does not mean that you should not respond to your parents' calls, or never meet them, divorce your husband or wife. It means that this seeds, there's a time gap, right? It takes time for seeds to ripen. Don't worry, you will see them understanding more. Just give it a time. I mean, a lot of time, maybe 5 years. Yeah, but it's unavoidable. They will change. And meanwhile, basically, you should avoid people who will tell you to do something wrong, and you can really be like under influence of these people. Like basically, really avoid unethical people, and especially influencers. Like influencing others. So this is what I have to add. Next one.
Number 4, considering any representation of the Buddha, regardless of the quality of its artistry or material, as though it were the Buddha himself or herself, once we have taken refuge in the Buddha. Yeah. This is interesting, right? In the Christian tradition, there are stories of statues of the Virgin Mary or Jesus, and there'll be signs and miracles around it. And people will report various miraculous things. And I think if you understand emptiness, it becomes a little more obvious that that's possible, right? And that there's actually a whole practice of putting your faith into something like a statue, and then getting the results that come out of it. Because what's happened is that somebody has, in the past, they've seen a Buddha, right? And that's possible. There have been people who've done that. And then they try and make some kind of representation out of it. And it's a link. It's a link to something that can get you out of suffering. And so you want to respect that link. And it's not going to be our practice in this lineage to try and turn statues into the deity, the God, the Buddha that we're...
Because we have more cool practice.
There are higher practices.
It will not be boring.
Yeah, there's quicker, there's faster ways. And so, but it's a link. It's a link to getting you out of suffering. And so you want to respect that, because they can be rare in the world, right? Anything else?
Interesting that I just got some realizations while listening to, because I was never thinking that way about this vow. Like for me, it was more about like somebody has seen it, right? Mm-hmm. So it is kind of holy, and I can create a lot of karmic obstacles when I do not know, like especially new people, right?
Mhm.
They are not aware that they can harm themselves badly if they disrespect these images and people like monks, nuns, right? Independently, even on the religious path, right?
Which Buddha was it? There's a story, one of the Buddhas, was it Dharmadada, who was a fly on a leaf? And then apparently there was a flood, and the leaf just happened to circumambulate a stupa. Uh, and, and he was a fly riding on the leaf as it went around the stupa. And that was the bit of goodness that he had that started him on the long climb from there out to Buddhahood.
Wasn't it the past life of Shariputra? I don't remember.
I forget
Yeah,
which one it
I
was.
think probably it was Shariputra.
Was it Shariputra? I forget who it was, but these things, there's a power to holy images and objects.
Yeah, and it is in one of ACI courses. I forgot which one. Maybe
Yeah,
you remember.
I forget which
DCI
one.
courses.
But it's in the ACI too. ACI also.
We have a question.
This is where Ben Kramer would know.
I still do not understand what should I think about when I have this vow to honor any image of the Buddha. Okay, what you can think about, it's always circles, right? So the core and then circles, like if a stone will drop into water and then there will be waves, right? And so some of them, they're closer and then they go. So the core is when you see an image of a Buddha and you think to yourself, oh, this is not painted nicely, or I don't know what really the Buddha is like. Maybe it's something wrong with it, or like, oh, there should be 8 medicine Buddhas and they draw 7. This is wrong. Maybe it is wrong, but be very careful with what you think in your mind, like especially criticizing and putting down, or like for example, throwing away images. You cannot throw away images of Buddhas or even books, because it will create huge karmic obstacles. It's a small thing, but if you throw away a sutra or an image of a Buddha, because it is related to enlightenment, this small action can create huge obstacles in several years. So you may think to yourself, oh, really? I know the path. I don't need it anymore, and you just walk away or something like that.
We have a closet and there are boxes and boxes filled with Dharma stuff that I don't need or read anymore, but I can't throw them away because it's Dharma related.
But you can throw it away if you will bring it next week to Diamond Mountain, because there will be a special ceremony there.
You can burn it. There's ceremonies where you can burn the stuff, but I mean, I've got multiple large boxes. I couldn't get them on the airplane. And
start with small.
And there are people, so it says, and again, almost any one of these vows, you could, write a book about them and how and what they mean and how to behave with them. Like, for example, like, do you have to really consider any image as the actual Buddha? Well, if the actual Buddha was here, I'd probably act a little different than I would to the painting on my altar. Not that I'm disrespectful to it, but I would probably pay the actual Buddha a little more attention than I do the painting. There were people in India where that was their practice. There would be a statue, and they would be full-time religious practitioners, and they would bathe the statue and dress it and worship it and treat it like a deity. And so that's one practice, but that's not our practice. It's not, you don't have to take it to that level. Because there's other things that you'll get.
If can you imagine by your thinking you can actually transform a statue into a real Buddha?
Yeah.
Then if you can do it, try to transform your partner. This is much more fun.
Yeah. Yeah. There's stories of these statues talking to people, giving them advice. I think it's possible. I've never seen it personally. I think it's possible.
Okay, and now I feel like we are going a little bit weird. I want to explain logically why it is possible. Probably some of you did not do ACI 13, but when you will have a discussion about Chi and Shadrach. And Chi is something that is general, or we call it quality, and Shadrach is something specific, or we call it characteristic. And characteristic in Russian or Ukrainian should be translated with an adjective and not a noun, because it is characteristic for this quality. It is something specific for this quality. It's like a Toyota for cars, right? It has all the qualities of the car, right? But it is a specific type of carbs. So, and then you can think about something that you consider as life and how you call it, vivid, non-vivid matter or substance? Life substance?
Living and non-living?
Living and non-living substance, right? So, what is the link between, what is, how to say, relationship between Toyotas and cars? It is coming from your seeds, right? Both the general and characteristics coming from your seeds. Can you have a seed for what you see to be something else? Like same quality, same color and shape, right? Yeah, of course. You plant a different seed, you will see something else. Then what is the relationship between general stuff and specific stuff? Should it necessarily, what you see as the car today, be the car tomorrow? No, it shouldn't, because it depends on your seeds. So, this is very brief, more details, ACI 13, right? Really brief. I mean, I realize that maybe some of you are getting confused.
It's emptiness is that powerful. The screen is that blank, and your mind's ability to paint an image onto that screen is that strong. And the people who were having these experiences with the statue, right? They're decades are devoted to serving that deity and hoping for some kind of spiritual event as a result of it. And even then, I don't think it's that common, but it's possible. I'm convinced it's possible.
Yeah, and the reason why it is possible, because what you think is alive and what you think is not alive has this quality, has also emptiness. Like things are empty from self-existently being alive, you see? Okay, next one.
All right.
Confused enough.
Miracles are possible if you understand happiness.
Okay, considering any written material at all, from a single letter to the alphabet on up, as though it were the Dharma itself, once we have taken refuge in the Dharma.
Very similar to the last vow. Instead of an image, this is talking about the writing itself. And again, because it's a link, it's a key, it's a piece of the puzzle to getting out of suffering, to getting every living being out of suffering. So you want to be careful with your mental seeds around that.
Yeah, do not throw away Buddhist texts, Geshe Michael's books, anything that is about vows, even your own notes and your own 6-time books. You cannot throw it away because it's sacred.
Yeah.
But if you see they go even beyond that, like anything that is written, why you cannot throw away anything that is written? Because if you have slightly different seeds, when you will have slightly different seeds, everything you will ever read will be Dharma.
Then you have to save everything.
Hmm?
That was a joke. I said, then you have to save everything.
Yeah, you have to save everything. And I mean, you have some on a maybe this will be more simple. Like on a deeper level, what happens when you see an image of a Buddha or something that is written that represents Dharma? You have very special seeds, very rare, like your diamond seeds, extremely rare, ripening. And you see something outside of you that is holy. Then more seeds will be coming if you will treat it with respect.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you will reinvest into the seeds, you will get more. If you will treat it with disrespect, you will get less. This is simple. Huge obstacles. Yeah, you can burn it. This is a respectful, you can burn it. They say, yeah, 6 times books monks were thrown into the rivers in Tibet. I do not recommend you personally because, I mean, I think it's better to burn because you don't want also to pollute the environment. Or maybe if you have very pure view that this is something really holy, then go ahead and throw it into a lake or a river.
If it's paper, if it has a
If it's
plastic binder,
paper,
we'll
no plastic, right?
do it.
Okay.
I think it's similar to the question of, do prayers work, right? If a Buddha can't give us seeds, if a Buddha can only teach, then what use is it praying to a Buddha? And the answer is that when you pray, you're planting a seed in your own mind to get the help that you need in the future. And so they can give you the help that you need when you ask for it. So prayers do work. And so, but if you're like a 5-year-old kid praying for a bicycle for Christmas, well, that may not work. But if you're praying to get help to save every living being, well, that's going to be an extremely powerful prayer, right? So.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, we have several questions. So where to can I give away, like, for recycling ACI texts and can I delete electronic texts? I think no problem with electronic texts because I mean there will be no possible disrespectful treating of them, right? Like the whole idea, imagine you throwing into the garbage your text, right? Then what will happen? We'll see it in a garbage with some other dirty stuff, like
Yeah, you don't want to treat your text or your homework the same way you would rotten vegetables, right? And so the only way I've ever heard it said that you could properly dispose of the material is to burn it, and which is why I've got these big, huge boxes of stuff I've been carrying. I mean, like they're huge, they're big boxes, right? And I've got multiple boxes around because it takes quite a bit to burn them, right? It's basically like a log. When you have that much paper and you try and burn it, you need a big fire.
And this is one of the reasons why mixed nuts and SCM, they went paperless. So you will never see anything except the book that is ready to get published. Maybe some final copies will get published to show to sponsors. Otherwise, you will not see anything printed out at SCM, Sedona College, or Diamond Cutter Classics, which is mixed nuts, which is Schwensen Tower classes. Never ever, because it's a hassle, right? It's a problem. Then think whether you really want to print something or you want to keep it maybe paperless. Okay, anything else to add? I think that's it. Yeah.
Number 6.
Every single letter can become Dharma. It's true. Number 6, consider even a single scrap of a saffron robe as though it were the Sangha itself, once we have taken refuge in the Sangha.
And you can see that what we're going through here is the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha, the 3 places of refuge. And so the robe is going to be the representation of the Sangha. And the Sangha jewel, right, are the people who've had the direct perception of emptiness. And so the Sangha is anybody in your Buddhist community. But the robe becomes a representation of that, right? People who've had the direct perception of emptiness, which again is the key to removing your suffering. The community like that, they're a resource for you to have the direct perception of emptiness so that you can eliminate all of your suffering.
Yeah. And also, you will never make a mistake with these 3 jewels and their representations if you will remember emptiness. Because why do I see an image of the Buddha as itself, like just to be able to see the image? Can you imagine seeds that you had to plant for it to happen? Do you think it happens in every single world? Then you have texts, you can understand this text. And there are people who are walking also spiritual paths, maybe the same path you are walking, and you are in a good company, right? Do you want it to continue or to stop? Do you want to have more or less of that? And even if it's not your path, but another spiritual path, it will be also it will be also, we will also break this vow if we will disrespect like Muslims, Christians, like somebody wearing monks' robes in another tradition. Maybe you think that their tradition is not completely correct, but I'm sorry, whose seed is this, right? I mean, plant better seeds and you will see all the monks and nuns following completely correct teachings according to you. So
there's an idea in the Christian churches, the Eucharist, right, where you go and you take a sip of the wine and you have a bit of the cracker, and it's coming from the Last Supper, where Jesus said, take, eat, this is the flesh of my flesh, take, drink, this is the blood of my blood. And the idea that you could consume a bit of the wine and a bit of the cracker and enter into a kind of union with God through that process. And the Catholic Church is quite clear that they don't think that that's just symbolic. They think that it's literal. The technical term is transubstantiation, and that it's literally the flesh of Christ and the blood of Christ. And that's similar to all of these things, right? And I'm personally, I'm convinced that that it is literal, that it's the blood of Christ and the flesh of Christ when you do that. So
we have a question.
Similar with all three things right here. Other representations of something divine.
Yeah, we have a question. Should I think about any monks that they have seen emptiness directly when I do this vow? It is not about monks. It is not about seeing emptiness directly. In a way, it is, but there is something deeper. Like when you see a monk independently on the tradition, right? Ask yourself, what do you think you see? And if you're like me, I think, oh, there is somebody who dedicated his life to reach some kind of truth. And maybe it's another tradition. And by the way, the farther you will walk this path, the better you will understand that other traditions, they also make sense. It is one of the, science of your maturity as a Buddhist. You will never ever criticize other traditions. Why? We have 4.5 schools ourselves, right? Buddhist schools. Then if Buddha himself taught 4.5 schools, 4 incorrect, half correct, because he wanted our minds to be ripened, gradually. There is a process of ripening Sosokyevo's mind, a normal human's mind. Why do you think they cannot go to something easy, like to make people start the Buddhist path? Why do you think they cannot teach ethics, morality at some other levels? What would stop them from that, right? So,
and are all monks Aryas? Has every monk had the direct perception of emptiness? If you're really, really honest,
no.
Well, you don't know, right? You don't know one way or the other. Sometimes they will sure act like they haven't.
And sometimes they act like they have. Let's talk about the cafe, the nuns' cafe.
Okay. Well, so what was I going to say? So you don't know. And then the advice later on is going to be just to treat everybody like they're an emanation of the Buddha. Because, is that possible? So anyway, you want to talk about the nuns' cafe? Yeah, there's a great little cafe near us run by Catholic nuns.
It's interesting. I was wondering why it happens like that, but my dad and my son, they are living in the village, neighboring village, Wilmette, and we have because Katya Mayorenkova, maybe you heard, she moved in Chicago and she lives not far away from here. We needed an office, we have a coffee place near here, but it's usually...
It's so good, it's crowded.
Crowded as hell. So we needed a new office and we bumped into this cafe. And it's actually interesting because in the same street, my love, you have 2 stores that are selling secondhand, used stuff, but completely, how you call it, charity. Both stores, charity. And this cafe, you enter and instead of waiters, you have nuns, Catholic nuns. French-speaking Catholic nuns Wilmette, Chicago, North Shore. I was shocked, and they obviously they are French because their French is flawless, and it is easier for them to speak French than English. They're from St. Rogers Abbey, not far from here, I think in Wisconsin, they said. So, and I had this moment, I was thinking a lot about this vow, because you can get wine if you want there, it's a cafe. They serve cookies, French pastry, they serve coffee, and you are sitting there and nuns are serving you. And I have always this weird, I was thinking, wow, I should serve you. You should not serve me. It's so weird. It's uncomfortable. But they are so sweet. Like I watch them and I have never ever I had an idea, oh, they're following some false path. Because you watch them and you see they're following something correct, And I don't know who they are, right? But because they're empty, they can be anything, right? They can be servants, waitresses, they can be nuns, they can be arias, whoever. Just watch your seeds, what you think about them. This is important, and try to make it better. Watch your thoughts and try to improve at the very least this.
Yeah, we don't know what's going on in other people's lives, right? We don't know 1% of
No idea.
Even the people closest to us, right?
Exactly. Okay, 7. Go into refuge over and over again by calling to mind the high qualities of the places of refuge. Want to do this one?
Sure. What are the places of refuge? Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. And specifically Buddha jewel, Dharma jewel, Sangha jewel. And so the Buddha jewel is the actual Buddha, right? And his mind is emptiness. The Dharmakaya is emptiness. But he's, and everything that he achieves, the pleasure body and the emanation body, his omniscience, that's all possible because of emptiness. The Dharma, the actual Dharma jewel is the direct perception of emptiness, right? Because that's the key to getting out of suffering. And then the Sangha jewel are the people who've had the direct perception of emptiness. So all of it goes back to emptiness, because that's when you can start eliminating the mental afflictions that are causing your suffering permanently. Until then, you're fighting them. You don't have a cessation until the direct perception of emptiness. And all of these in the places of refuge are all related to emptiness. So that's how you're going to get out of suffering. That's how you're going to end your pain. That's how you're going to end wars, end aging, sickness, death, because of emptiness.
Yeah, and for this question, many people, they're asking, like, I have no capacity to recall it. I mean, when I'm learning something, when I'm studying, then I remember. And when, bad situation comes, I don't. Then what would you advise to these people?
Struggle.
Struggle.
Fight it. Right. I mean, everybody, right? If you're human, you're going to fail. But the victory is in the struggle, right?
Yeah.
What would you advise?
And do 6 times book, right? Because this is a very good training. It will make you think at the very least 6 times a day about emptiness and other stuff related to him. Every single vow is related to emptiness, right? Because there is no sense of doing the book or every single vow is based on the fact that we can change it. So the book will help you if you have difficulties with this. 8. In remembrance of their kindness, offering the first part of any food or drink to the places of refuge.
Do the Buddhas get hungry?
They don't.
Then why bother giving them food?
Yeah, because Buddhas, they do not need your food. No. You need offerings to Buddhas. So, I mean, will they be pleased and will they feel even more bliss from you offering them? Yeah, of course. Don't worry. They will not feel anything bad. But they do not have the need to partake your food. So basically, I remember that was a difficult one for me. Was it difficult for you?
No. I spent a lot of time cooking for other people, so offering food's been one of the themes of my life. One of the things I've been good at.
Yeah, but sometimes we can, like, for example, I had no problem with offering food. Like, I always like to feed other people. But I had problem when I'm eating on my own, myself. So I would, and I remember once I was stricken. I was in Switzerland. There was a retreat, and we were doing a prayer, like a very special prayer about getting people out of health, if in 2 words. And there was a line in this prayer that I regret that I was partaking my food as a jackal, like wolf.
Folk.
Yeah, and what they mean by jackal.
If I forget to say the prayers before dinner, he says "Ni volki," not like a wolf.
No jackals, yeah. Yeah, because I was stricken by this phrase, like I was eating my food without dedicating it first as a jackal. And I was like, oh, wow. It is so much more important to eat for me than to dedicate, that I'm an animal, I'm not a human anymore. So, and I was really worried that I will not be able to keep this one. But you know what? Lonely prayer, there is a special prayer. You can create your own. It just should be about emptiness, like the food that I see, myself, and eating process. It's all empty, right? Can it be a nectar of deathlessness instead of my food? Sure, if you plant better seeds, right? So this is the idea, and the dedication is to get enlightened, obviously. So this is why there is a formal prayer. And at the very least, Geshe Michael said, when he was given vows, he said, at the very least, promise that you will say Om Ahum 3 times before eating anything to the rest of your life. So if you don't know what to do 3 times Om Ahum, we'll take care of it. But there is a special prayer that I really like. I think I should say it, right? Not this one, the other one. Okay, there is a official prayer. You can find it in English materials to probably every course. Ton palame Sangye Rinpoche, kyo palame dam chu Rinpoche, dren palame Gendun Rinpoche, kyabne konchok sun la chu pabu. So now you are permitted to recite it also. And we can post in ACI together if you want. That's a prayer that is okay for open teaching students. And the prayer says that I take refuge in, I offer it to basically the Buddha jewel, the Sangha jewel, and the Dharma jewel. So emptiness, emptiness, emptiness. Next.
How long do you want the class to go?
We still have 15 minutes.
You want to let's keep it right at an hour and not go over, because I know people will hang on, but then they'll get tired.
Yeah, the plan is to stop in 15 minutes.
Yeah, Geshe has been very good about keeping the classes to the minute, and I think that's a good example to follow.
Okay. 9, encouraging others to take refuge. That's an easy one, right?
Well, there's different ways, right? There's in America, there are people who will come and knock on your door or they will, try and tell you about Christ and God, and or they'll stand on a street corner and try and tell you about their religion, and it's not generally very helpful, frankly, because you don't know anything about that other person, right? You have no idea who they are, where they are in their spiritual life, and then it's presumptuous. It's mistaken to knock on there and say, "I'm going to tell you what to do," right? And so then, but we live in a suffering world. So, how do you encourage people to take refuge?
First, I should understand myself what it means to take refuge.
Yeah. And
ACI 2, we just finished.
well, and then it's always going to come back to emptiness. And then what do you do with emptiness? You live a happy life, right? You treat other people with kindness, and then your world gets better. So the best way you can encourage other people to take refuge is just to live a good life, right? To be happy, be healthy, have a happy partnership, make money, have a clear mind, and accomplish your spiritual goals, right? People see that and then they're motivated, like, oh, well, how did you do that, right?
Yeah, I mean, take refuge means use these ideas to make them function in your life, right? This is taking refuge. I know that anything should be nothing should be itself. It comes from my seeds, and I'm working on my mind, right? I'm not blaming others. I'm not criticizing. I'm not chasing them to change. I'm changing myself, right? So, and then encouraging others to take refuge will not be chasing them to take refuge.
Yeah.
It will be becoming a living example, basically. And then the time will come, people will come to you. I claim it because it happened to me. It happened to Bill, right? And then people will come to you and they will ask, can you give me vows, for example? Or can you teach me how to be a better partner? Can you teach me how to make money, etc.? All of that, this is encouraging others to take refuge. So if you are involved in any kind of ACI activities, ACI coordination activities, or translations, or managing Good Night Club, Gold Club, any other clubs that we have, True Project, Maria, Peter projects, Geshe Michael. So you see, all of that, you can write a plus here, like you encourage other people to take refuge because they will change your lives because of you. 10.
Taking refuge 3 times each day and 3 times each night by bringing to mind the benefits of doing so. Your 6 times book will count for this, right? Because every time, you write down something positive, well, that came about because of emptiness. Every time you write down something negative, that came about because things were empty and cause and effect. And so you're constantly 6 times a day going to refuge when you do that. There are also formal prayers that you can say.
Yeah. Actually, it is not easy to keep your 6 times books sometimes, right? So different people have different struggles with it. Some people, they have difficulties in the beginning, but then it gets easier. Some people like me, I was doing my 6 times book. I don't think I ever missed a day for like 5 years in the beginning. And then, boom, seeds were wearing out. And one day I was like, oh my God, I'm not doing my 6 times book. I'm forgetting. And So different things can happen. Life is life. Don't criticize yourself. Just try to figure a tricky method to trick your mind to restart it. Maybe you will not be doing a paper book. Maybe you will be doing now electronic book. Maybe if it doesn't work, you will want to get a partner to write each other 6 times a day something, like, because I went through all the phases, and what I can tell you that you should be, how to say, inventive, like you should find new and new, innovative, creative, and in finding new ways to keep your 6 times book, because it is important. And without reading this vow 6 times a day, you will start forgetting them. You will fail in your vows practice. This is what will happen. So for me personally now, what works well is Max Jabali partner, Ira. She created 6 times Gluck book, so-called. It's like $5 a month. All the money goes to support European version of ACI AKM, Academy of Classic Wisdom. So I'm not worried that my money is wasted, and that's not a lot. Okay. 11. Putting all our trust in the objects of refuge during any activity that we may ever undertake.
We were talking about this vow indirectly with a group of people a few days ago. And the question was, well, how do I stay on the path, right? Like things are difficult, and how do I keep going? And the answer is you don't really have a choice. You can either do this intentionally or unintentionally, and the results are going to be a lot better if you do it intentionally, right? It's there's no outside force doing it to you. Things aren't random. There's a cause and effect relationship with everything that you're doing, and that cause and effect relationship only works because things are empty, right? And so going for refuge, that's, you have some desire for protection, right? And where you're going to go for refuge, it's always going to come back to emptiness, Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. If random ain't going to help you, and simply an outside force ain't doing it to you, you're doing it to yourself. And so that's why they're saying, put all your trust in it. It can get hard. If you're human, you will have problems. The only way you're going to solve them is refuge. And so just trust the process. And you're going to have doubts until you've had the direct perception of emptiness. Or you get a very high level of intellectual understanding. At that point, you won't go backwards. Very high. But there's nothing to do. There's nothing else that's going to work. So just trust the process and keep going.
Okay, and the last vow, not giving up the 3 jewels, even if it should cost us our life, and in every situation from that one on down to a simple jest.
Just as joke.
So not giving up the 3 jewels in any situations. There were times, especially in India and Tibet, when monks, they were killed because they were Buddhists, and I don't think we will have anything like that in the nearest future. Hopefully not. But in this, and something that probably I had to mention before, these vows, you will go, like, you will make friends with them, and like any friend, they will have some deeper levels, right? First, you just know your friend's name, then you know where they live, then you know what they like, etc. And these vows, the more you will practice them, they will be opening up for you, and you will see there are levels, and the more you will progress in your studies, in your classes, and in your spiritual ripening, then you will understand more levels of these vows, and maybe nobody will teach you, maybe you will just understand better, you know. It doesn't have to be somebody who will talk to you to understand something on a deeper level. But this one, yeah, I'm sure that some Buddhists, they were giving up their lives, and they were thinking that, okay, I give up my life, but not read jewels. If you will read Jataka tales about past lives of the Buddha Shakyamuni, almost every single Jataka tale is like that, or maybe half of them. But what does it really mean? It actually means that it is a bit similar to the previous vow, that in every situation, you do not make a decision based on what's going on. Like, the world may be crazy, right? We have people here in Kiev, Sumy, Kharkov, etc., right? You know how crazy the world can be and is right now. The trick is that when this crazy stuff happens, this is your seed ripened and died. As my friend says, ripened and crooked.
Croaked.
Crooked.
Yeah.
And but what you do, because of what you perceive, it will plant another seed, you see? And you should disconnect this process completely. The crazier your world is, the happier you should be, you know? Like, in any situation, independently on what's going on, you think about what you are planting. You're not thinking about your reactions. Your reactions, blah, 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 doesn't matter anything. You think what you're planting, then this is the important aspect in everyday life of this vow. Anything to add?
No, well said.
Yeah. That's it. We managed in time. Maybe first time.
Yeah.
Because we want to make progress ourselves. We want to do better. So
well, and it's a fun subject. It's to talk about. It's the most interesting subject to talk about, because it's how you're going to make your life better, right?
Yeah. I suggest to make a break, because we will be in Diamond Mountain next 2 weeks, and then we can go through other vows if you want in 3 weeks. Review lay people vows and 10 good deeds.
Yeah, we made it through the refuge commitments.
Okay, thank you very much. The technical team, translators, bow down to you, because I know how it is difficult to translate. And also, do not forget you're planting so great seeds, like all the cool guys, they were translators, you know, in the Buddhist history. So thank you. Have a nice
Thank you for
rest of the
being here.
day. See you.
Paka paka.